Hi, everyone. It's Shannon Port, and I welcome you to the Art of the Feminine podcast. I just shared the link over on Facebook, so we'll see if anyone comes on live to join our live stream today. So today we're going to be talking about, today's a really special day, and I can really feel the energy of it. So Jupiter has just entered the sign Capricorn. And that is what we're going to talk about today. The title of the video is Jupiter in Capricorn, and I titled it Healing the Patriarchy. And I do not see anyone on live yet, so I just want to check really quick. Well, it looks like we're live, so hopefully the post will go out and some of you will be able to join me in the chat today. So we're going to talk about something. Well, first of all, we just had Thanksgiving in the United States, and it's December, so happy December. We're in a new month, and we just kind of entered the holiday season, and Thanksgiving was such a powerful time of year this year. I could really feel it. Okay, there we go. Oh, nice to see you. Nice to have you on. Oh, and welcome you. It's good to have you for the first time. I think the post was a little slow in going out today, but I'm glad you could make it. So Thanksgiving this year, I was on social media and I felt an abundance of love and an outpouring in the collective consciousness on the planet right now, wanting to participate in the power of gratitude. And I have a quote today that I want to share with you guys that I shared on my Facebook page that got a lot of really positive feedback. And so because Jupiter is a planet of abundance, it's a planet of love. We're going to talk about today we're going to be talking about the archetypal energies of Jupiter in the sign of Capricorn. Jupiter will be in the sign of Capricorn from it entered today. So we're live today on December 2nd. Jupiter is entering the sign of Capricorn. There's so much happening in the sign of Capricorn right now and through the year 2020. So that is going to be what we tune in with today. We're going to really talk about the positive aspects of Jupiter being in Capricorn. And this is going to be a really powerful discussion of how we can frame the energies of what's happening on Earth and pull in the positivity and the abundance of Jupiter to heal what we know is somewhat of a broken system, very much of a broken system right now. So that's what we're going to tune in, and we're going to use the archetypes to show us the wisdom, how we can shift this in our collective consciousness. So I wanted to say, I'm going to read this quote. This quote I posted on Thanksgiving, and it was very well received, but this has to do with the power of gratitude and how love is the power that can move mountains, and it's truly the universal force that powers all of creation, and that we have the access to that power right now. Jupiter is the archetype that tells us that we have unlimited wealth, we have unlimited substance to create with, and that to fire up that substance and to take back the power where we're projecting from our own heart and from our own resources within, we have to we can do it right now. But this poem, it's not a poem, this is a quote I shared, really taps into that energy. So it was about gratitude. Gratitude unlocks the fullness of life. It turns what we have into enough and more. It turns denial into acceptance, chaos into order, confusion into clarity. It can turn a meal into a feast, a house into a home, a stranger into a friend. Gratitude makes sense of our past and brings peace for today and creates a vision for tomorrow. That is written by a woman named Melody Beatty. And I just found it on the internet on the day of Thanksgiving, and it was so beautifully written. I think it was shared in a magazine years ago. I think it was shared in something like Good Housekeeping. I do not know who this woman is, but that just shows that at any moment in time, something that beautiful can flow through a human heart and put it into the ethers. The idea of turning a house into a home, what I hear so many people talking about this day and age is that people crave a home, a place where they feel the archetypal energies of home, which are love, support, a foundation. These are all energies ruled by the sign Cancer, which is opposite Capricorn. So Jupiter will be moving into Capricorn. It's going to conjunct the South Node. It's going to move up and conjunct where Pluto, and it's gonna transit across where the Pluto Saturn conjunction takes place. That will be later on in 2020. But I believe Jupiter entering the sign of Capricorn is truly a page turning event for us on planet Earth, because Jupiter's been in this alchemical sign of Sagittarius. On the tree of life, the elemental energies of Jupiter are fire and water. So Jupiter rules the sign Sagittarius, and it just went past the galactic center, and it just really alchemized this sign of Sagittarius, the ninth house, which is wisdom. So Jupiter embodies the higher wisdom of the Divine Mother. Jupiter, and we can see this because the archetype of Jupiter is also exalted in the sign of the mother, in the sign Cancer. So because Jupiter is also very connected to water, and on the tree of life, on the elemental correspondences, it's fire and water. And Jupiter is an ancient ruler of Pisces, which is another water sign. So Jupiter is so connected to the energies of the home and the mother. And our north node right now is in Cancer, the sign of the mother. The south node is in Capricorn. The south node represents kind of what's karmic and where the karmic shift is taking place. That's in the sign Capricorn. And Capricorn is associated with the patriarchy and the archetype of the father. So it rules family lineage, it rules tradition, it rules status, it rules the 10th house, it rules how we take our place in the world and how we are seen, through how we rise into being seen in the light of the gifts that we bring in the world. So it rules our 10th house in our career. But my girlfriend, I was talking to one of my girlfriends last night, who's the most spiritual and divine people I know, who's also quite a scholar. She was talking, and an astrologer as well. She was talking about how Capricorn is a feminine sign. She said, aha, but remember, Capricorn is a feminine sign. And this is true. What's so funny is that we think of Capricorn as ruling the patriarchy, but Capricorn is truly a feminine sign. And we're going to talk about the archetypes of these energies and how we can use them to shift our consciousness. It's a feminine sign because it rules birth and it rules contraction. It rules how we birth spirit into matter. And so we think of it in terms of bondage, because the soul, when it comes into matter, feels trapped in the underworld. In this dimension, we actually, because we're only tuned into our human personality and our ego most of the time, we really only have access to underworld energies, the power that comes from below. So we think of the power that's powered by the ego, or the darker forces that govern us through our sensual appetites, what we crave, what we desire through sense appetites, and through lust, through greed, through power, through fear, through fight or flight, through our primal instinctual survival, more of our reptilian brain. So when we're only drawing from that power, we can very much project ourselves into the world and be seen and rise up and have fame. We can even have talent, we can have glory, we can be very, very successful. And still, this is what's such a paradox, we can still be cut off from our higher self and for the more sublime and supernal energies that connect us with spirit and the power of unity and the power of birthing through the more the higher octave of that creative contraction of the Divine Mother. And so we're going to talk about the archetypal energies of Jupiter and why it's so significant as Jupiter enters the sign of Capricorn. So think of it this way. Capricorn rules what we birth and how we manifest by contracting spirit, capturing, picking up, registering on consciousness the elemental energies that are governed by the archetype of Jupiter. I'm seeing the archetype right now. Jupiter is the wheel, and it represents the the Wheel of Fortune. And on the Wheel of Fortune, we have the four heavenly creatures, which represent truly the elemental energies of creation. So they're represented by the fixed signs, which are Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. So on the Wheel of Fortune, we see in the four corners of most all representations of Jupiter, because Jupiter is the ruling archetype of fortune, which is the archetype of how we spin the elements into form by using those primordial elemental forces that are governed by Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. Jupiter is the energy of the primordial substance of creation. It's the exhaustless riches. They cannot be exhausted. So this is the truth about those substances, and about this elemental energy, and that it's propelled or it's spun by our feelings and by our heart, and truly by love, because what we desire, we create. But the highest form of desire is universal love. And that's the highest wisdom. It's truly the universal knowledge is love. And I often refer to it as the Christ force, but it's the power of infinity. It could be the power of sacred union or 0 point. It's the power of that sacred neutrality where we vibrate and we know that we're all in this field of light. It's a field, and all of us are part of that field. There's only one field. And so when we say there's one son or daughter of creation, that son or daughter is the sun. It's the light of the sun, which is often referred to as the Christ. So when we come into that consciousness, which we sometimes hear called the universal Christ consciousness, we understand that we're meeting in that field of vibration. And it's that vibration that calls upon the limitless, exhaustless wealth and substance of creation. So I'm going to just break it up for a minute. I'm going to go into some of the things I want to talk about. If anybody has any questions, feel free to post them. I think we're all still good. You're pretty quiet, but I think we're still going live here. And so let me see what I wanted to mention. Okay, I want to say that love is here. Love is here now. Our divinity is now. We are the eternal God source. The eternal God source manifests through each and every one of us. And this is Jupiter and Capricorn. You probably have all heard that there's a conjunction on right now between Saturn and Pluto. Saturn represents the power of the world, the power of the earth, the power of the densest substance of spirit. In the archetypes, it represents what is either the world or the highest version of that is cosmic consciousness, when we've regenerated and raised form into the light of and brought it into cosmic union with spirit. So the mother and father archetypes represented by Capricorn and Cancer are truly part of the archetype of sacred union that represents when we unite those archetypes within us, the masculine and feminine within us, which is what the whole zodiac is really about. All of the opposite pairs are about the union of polar opposites and masculine and feminine within us. What happens is we unite with the supernal parents, that supernal archetype of sacred union. My girlfriend and I were talking about this last night. It's represented on the Tree of Life by the supernal trinity and the first three Sephiroth that emanate from the divine womb. And so when we're in cosmic harmony with that inside our own being, we access the higher version of that. We become a living book of life on this planet for that energy. And it's so sacred. This energy, Jupiter and Capricorn, this whole year is going to be saying this, you're being handed, because Jupiter, because let's talk about Capricorn rules. Jupiter it's like being given a blank check. So think of Capricorn rules the financial institutions, the religious institutions, traditional institutions, the patriarchal institutions that are out of balance right now and that need to heal. With Jupiter and Capricorn, it's a universal symbol of healing. Jupiter is love. It represents love and mercy. So for every human being that begins to embody that energy right now, we become a living archetype. We bring that living archetype onto the planet, that parent energy of the father can heal. What's so interesting is that the father contains within it the mother. That's why Jupiter's Capricorn is actually a feminine sign, but it's the birthing sign, and it's ruled by Saturn, which is Binah on the tree of life. And it represents how the elemental language of the archetypes was dipped in matter through Binah. Those divine archetypes and those alphabets and those fire letters came through and dipped themselves in matter and became part of the illusion, or the fallen gods, really. Because in matter, because when we're in such a dense form, and that's us, we are those archetypes. We don't realize what we are until we learn how to take our rightful position in this game and become the light within the game, the light between the light and the dark. We become the infinite potential. So I was just watching, and this has to do with it. I just saw an interview with an author named Simon Sinek. He's also a speaker, and he speaks, he's brilliant. He's a business writer and an inspirational writer, but he had a new book out, and I wrote it down. It's called The Infinite Game. And so I saw a little clip of him speaking about this book, and I've followed his work over the years, and checked in with his past couple books. He's writing a book about this, and this is what he said in the little clip that I saw of him. He said that life is a game, but there is no winner. So Capricorn rules sort of our lust for power, because it rules our power in the world. It rules corporations, and it rules sort of the out of balance, big, huge, higher institutions and governments that have all the power, or so we think. They really don't have all the power. It's our perception. What they do have power over is our perception, because we give our focus to those institutions, and then they take our perception and mold this world we see based on those very earthbound laws that are not the divine laws. The divine laws of nature are ruled by source. And for each level of perception that we come onto, there are different laws that we play by. And so we're anchoring in the divine laws on earth. Universal love is the absolute nucleus of all power in the divine heart of creation. I'm just going to ask, so good to see you. Okay, I was wondering if you guys were still on with me, because I hadn't seen any comments. So feel free to comment if you want, and I'll check for questions as we go. So this is so important, because what he talked about was, and he's a business writer, he said, and he was talking about but when Blockbuster closed down because it didn't see what was coming when Netflix came along. He talked about how Blockbuster wasn't playing the infinite game. And this is his work. His name is Simon Sinek. He wrote a book that's out right now called The Infinite Game by Penguin, is the publisher. He talked about how Blockbuster was too afraid to give up their way of doing things. When they saw the new system of movie rentals coming out, they didn't want to do it because they were afraid they would lose their late fees and that it would wipe out their business, because they were making so much money in their paradigm, but the paradigm changed and they didn't keep up with that change on the planet. And so along came Netflix and took over the industry and became the ruler. And now Blockbuster, and if you're old enough to remember when we went to Blockbuster to rent movies, they're all closed down. And I had several of them around me that I used to go to with my son when he was a little guy, and we would pick out movies. No longer. The paradigm changed. Same with in the movie, or in the music industry. Now that we have streaming and we have Spotify and Pandora and all these other streaming, the music industry itself didn't jump on and embrace that. And so they lost out, and now they're struggling. So what it was about is that when you play the infinite game, and understand, so nice to see you. When you play the infinite game, and this is about transforming Capricorn into an infinite game, healing the patriarchy, I repeat, healing the broken system and bringing it back into an infinite game, because Capricorn is really about family. It's about family values and love. It's about the archetypal parent, the father being the nobility and the mentor and the protector and the birther of what is good and what benefits the kingdom. And so this is so powerful, because the Saturn-Pluto junction is about the kingdom, and it's about regeneration in the kingdom. So that's us. That's Malkuth, and that's Earth. That's where we are right now. So what we want to understand, and what he so brilliantly talked about, is that Fear will limit us. When we're in the fearful side of Capricorn, we're a little paranoid and fearful, and we're afraid of each other. But when we cooperate with each other and we realize in the end, and I was just talking to my son's grandparents about this over Thanksgiving, over dinner. It was so funny because my grandfather or grandmother on his father's side, we spent Thanksgiving together, said, we're all headed to the same place. We were just talking how funny life is. It's a blip. And then we're all headed to the same place, regardless of what your beliefs are. It's so quick. And Simon talked about how nobody wins the game of life. We all go through it, and then we pass on. As of right now, we transition. Regardless of where you think you're going to leave this earth. We all are. And the time in which we are here is so precious and so short. If we can cooperate, which cooperation is so Jupiter, cooperate, love each other, come together as a family, which is so Capricorn and Cancer, and see that we're better together and that we can all shine. The age of Aquarius is about shining our gifts, but not being afraid to share them with each other and to collaborate, to get out there and collaborate. What's going to happen is the system is going to disintegrate. It's going to be like the patriarchy is going to be like Blockbuster folding. It's so funny to even say that. It's going to be like the music industry saying, what happened? Everyone's getting their music on Spotify. If they don't decide to, if our structures don't keep up, the momentum of the heart of humanity is going to move on without them and form something new. However, we're probably going to see some dismantling and deconstructing in the next few years. It might be painful to watch those things go. And there may be a struggle. We don't know. We'll talk about that. But today we want to mostly talk about the positive. So what I wanted to say, so let me just see. So what he was really saying that I wanted to share, and I'm going to read the book, I haven't read it yet, was that we are nobody, it doesn't matter if you're a billionaire. It doesn't matter if you're Marilyn Monroe and you're the most remembered, archetypal feminine goddess of all times. She left the planet. She left some beautiful, some images and archetypes that we have, but nobody wins the game. In fact, that life shows us that because many of the most beautiful people didn't win. They left us a gift and they moved on. All we really do with each other is we leave each other either a gift or we leave each other with strife and struggle. And life is really beautiful when what we leave, as Capricorn also rules legacy. When we leave our legacy, we'll talk about money. That's really powerful. Thank you for saying that. If our legacy is beauty and truth, the infinite truth of love, we can't win. We can't lose. I'm sorry. We never win life, but we don't lose because we take it with us. And the earth expands as a result of that. So somebody just said, interesting, lots of speculation that the money side of is going to decentralize in the near future. So what's going to happen? Let's look at Capricorn and Cancer, or in Jupiter in Capricorn. Jupiter is there right now today. First day, December 2nd. So let's check back next year on December 19th, 2020. It's just at 0 right now, but it's going to trine Uranus Uranus is in Taurus, the sign of the earth and the sign of money. Taurus is really the sign of money. So we have Uranus retrograde right now in Taurus. Jupiter is going to trine that archetype of Uranus in Taurus, and that is really going to. And Jupiter is money, and I'm going to tell you why Jupiter is money in a moment on the archetypal correspondences. That's going to be giving a boost of positive energy to switch over to a more harmonious way of money and life and wealth. I mean, wealth is beautiful, and earning wealth is also, there's nothing wrong with competition when it's healthy. When competition raises the bar, we know that in societies where there's zero competition in this egoic paradigm, things go flat and the quality of goods gets less and less, because if we put a lid on things and we take away the human spirit to get better and better, and we give it control to a ruling entity, it tends to bring everything into a lower quality. When there's a little bit of good-spirited like, oh, you did this? Oh, that's really great. I want to do this. So Simon Sinek was also talking about the between Apple and Microsoft, and he was talking about the competition in the tech industry and how Apple is so concerned about. I loved how he said this. He was talking about how they are so focused on growth and education and making things better. And they look around at their competition, they honor their competition and say, yeah, I have no doubt that was probably better, meaning the competitor company probably made something better that time around, because there's always going to be a time that our competitor does something better. And we bow to it and say, nice work. It's so powerful when somebody who we even consider a competition, we can look at them and say, really nice job, and be inspired to create another level for ourselves. That's healthy competition. That's good. But what we have right now with money, it's either complete control where there's such a disparity, or the have-nots, or we have the complete and contraction in some systems that have been tried, where there's just minimal wealth for everybody, but there's somebody in control of that. We don't even need to go into those systems. But feeling a tension around time and money. Yeah. And you know what? Capricorn rules time. So let's talk about that. So Capricorn rules time, and we know the saying, time is money. So I wanted to so in talking about the infinite, when we go into the infinite, we bypass earth time and we access the resources of the unlimited wealth and the elemental energies. How we really do that is when we come into the spirit of sharing and recognizing the divine in each other. So that's what we're being asked to do right now. If you want to harness the energy of Jupiter, know that you have wealth right now. So let's go back to Jupiter is also going to, I just want to say it's going to conjunct the south node while trining Uranus. This is big, at the time of the Pluto-Saturn conjunction around on January 12th, but we're already in it leading up to January 12th and through the energies through 2020. So, which reminds me, I want to say this now, I'll say it at the end of the video. I'm doing a really special webinar on the archetypes of 2020 because they're insane. They're so powerful. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to put the link in the description. It's at no charge. It's just to gather everyone on a Zoom conference and talk about the archetypes of 2020. But make sure to tune in for that. The date will be in December. So I want to just say that the archetypes of 2020 are fantastic, and they're really, really about the joining of the masculine and feminine, the mother, parent, the father, and the mother. And this has to do with every human being, regardless of your sexual orientation. It has nothing to do with that, regardless of your religion, regardless of who you bow to, how you see yourself physically, within the two poles that keep your heart beating and create sacred energy and sacred union in your heart. It's that parent energy of mother and father within. When we unite those energies, we birth our higher self. That is the energy of 2020. Try to remind yourself of that. The positivity of this year is so high, and it's such a time to get on that train that's headed to a new paradigm on earth, because it's here. We're in it right now. So you can choose to go. Some people are going to have to go down with the old and be the Blockbuster, and some people are going to hop on and be the Netflix. And I'm not saying that, I'm just using that as a joke, meaning that I don't know the business or politics of either of those companies, but we can either fall and have to go through the pain of losing that form, because Capricorn rules form. Capricorn rules form. It rules spirit creating form. I'm going to jump back to Jupiter in just a minute. Or we can cooperate and be inventive and genius and open-hearted, like the age of Aquarius is calling us to be. First of all, Uranus is the fool, and it's in Taurus. It rules Aquarius, the sign of Aquarius. Uranus governs the age of Aquarius. It's about it's real. The fool is really the Christ force. It's the Christic force, and it rules us being in that place within us where we have the power to do these things. So I'm going to slow down for the last few minutes and just think about some of the things you guys said and where we're meant to go. So Jupiter is like handing you a blank check right now that you get to fill out and use, because Jupiter is the wheel. And the nucleus of the wheel is the heart. How you feel right now through these energies until 2020, December 19th, 2020, when Jupiter then enters the sign of Aquarius, which is going to be amazing, is going to really determine how you use that blank check. It's like you write that check out to yourself right now. In fact, I recommend just pulling out a check from your checkbook and writing yourself a really large sum of money and putting it on your wall and signing it from Jupiter. And just like, I mean, how's that for a ritual? I'm going to ask you guys to all do that. Just take a check, or if you don't want to be in that system, whatever it is, write it out from Jupiter. Write a huge sum of financial for yourself, and then put the project that you want to put it towards, because that's what we can do right now. So this is how Jupiter is. On the tree of life, Jupiter is on the pillar of love and mercy, and it represents spiritual power and material power. It represents when I studied a universal form of Kabbalah when I was in New York City years ago, and we were taught that Jupiter was the leaves. It's the green. It represents the cash flow, but it's really the divine substance of the mother. That's why it's elevated and exalted in Cancer. Cancer is ruled by the moon and that lunar feminine principle, which is substance. Jupiter is the substance. It's coming to Capricorn, coming to the patriarchy and say, look, I'm going to give you the power to rewrite and make everything good. It's like we're changing that. We're turning the page in 2020. You can, and many people are jumping on this. It's surprising how many people are going to jump on. You can innovate, you can create, you can look around at the children on this planet who own the future of this planet, because we won't be here unless we end up all ascending and developing new bodies that we get to stay here. But we're hi, nice to see you. I was just talking about you. So we will get to, so Jupiter's saying, look, I'm giving you the opportunity. I'm at the South Node, which is, I actually have Jupiter conjunct my South Node in my natal chart. Is very, very powerful. So Jupiter's going to conjunct the South Node. It's going to say, look, let's write this karma and make it right. We get a chance to hop on. There's always a train going by, and at every moment we can either step on or not step on and wait for the next one. This would be a good train to get on. So just going to see, yes, solar plexus. Yeah. And that's the solar plexus is connected to Jupiter as well. Oh, there's so much about that. That's so much. Oh my gosh. I don't know if I know about that. I'm going to have to ask you about that. I'm going to have to ask you about that specifically. Good morning. Nice to see you. So tension around time and money. What we can do about that is rewrite the paradigm. Use the energy of it and change it. Change it for yourself, because now is the time to do that. If you can feel the momentum, first of all, we're coming up to winter solstice. Jupiter's going to be in, when the winter solstice happens, the 21st of the month this year. It's summer solstice for the Southern Hemisphere, but it's the Capricorn solstice. Powerful, powerful, powerful date this year. It's already the birth of the light. It's the birth of that Christ force that's in all archetypes I posted a book in the last video I did, and I put it in the comments or in the description section. That archetype of the birth of the Christ force is truly, first of all, it's the archetype of the mother birthing that light. So highlighting Capricorn and Cancer, the father and the mother at this time is profound. With Jupiter and all the planets that are going to be in Capricorn at the time of the conjunction, when Saturn conjuncts Pluto exact on January 12th, we're going to have, I think it's the Sun, Mercury, Ceres, Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter will be there conjunct the South Node. It's going to be massive. And I think I got the planets right, but if I didn't, remind me. It's a party. It's a party right now. And so, oh no. So what we need to know is that, and that's an example, that's just an example of something that is not, it's not worth time and love. Time and love are the true currency. Anyone that's not spending that energy, time meaning the infinite time of the heart, is out of alignment with the times. And it's okay. It's okay. We all have the right through free will to be out of alignment. but it's not a good time to be out of alignment. Be in alignment and be the power of unity on this planet right now. It's the only way to be. So what happens is that we're addicted to the past, and we're addicted to um and this is what my girlfriend and I were talking about, is we were talking about who is the greatest victim on this planet. And her and I were taught, we were going through all the victims, and both of us fall into several of the categories, and we were laughing, because when it comes down to it, we can fight over who's the greatest victim on the planet, or we can use the currency of love right now and create with the power that we have to do so right now. So I'm just going to look through and see if there's anything else that I really want to say. Capricorn rules cycles. It rules it rules perception. This is the last thing I want to say. It rules perception, and our perception is our power. We exist beyond perception, but our perception is the way we birth spirit into matter. If we give our perception to an old addictive narrative, we're helping to birth bondage. Capricorn is liberation. Jupiter represents expansion and liberation. So Jupiter is going to expand what we need to see at the South Node. It's going to put a highlight on what isn't working, but it's going to give us the expansive energies to create the new. So I'm just going to ask if there's anyone who wants to mention anything about universal love or the powers you're feeling right now. I'd love to hear it. This is a time of peace on earth, and it really, really is. But it has to be birthed in your own heart. It's not about turning away from what's ugly. There's plenty of what's ugly, and it's not going to leave. All we can do is step on top of that and use that as a platform to build what is good. We're spiritualizing the father principle. We're harmonizing the mother and father principle within us. Oh, nice to see you. So nice to see you. Oh my gosh. I'm really happy to see you. All right. Love can move mountains. Don't forget it. Jupiter expands everything because it represents the expansive energy of love. So I'm just going to give you a couple things. The shadow of Capricorn and this energy of Jupiter and Capricorn could be an addiction to materialism. It's getting a little dark in here. Sorry, it's kind of the light has shifted. Addiction, sex that's used as materialism, and to just be shallow and non-substantive, to just be operating from lust and seeing people for just form and what you can give me. That's the wrong side of sex. And status, making sex about status and money and power, control and bondage. That's the shadow. The healing of it is manifesting for the good of everyone. Liberation, substance to birth, that blank check. The elemental wealth, the home, really making your home, making your house a home. The family lineage healing, and healing the cycles, 7 generations back, 7 generations forward. I'm going to close out, but I'm just going to ask if there's anyone that wants to bring in a question or bring in anything. If you're seeing this after, I would love to see your comments. I would love to see your ideas about creating with Jupiter and the sign of Capricorn and how you're feeling it. And I know you mentioned the tension. I wanted to see if there's anything that we're meant to speak about around that. There's going to be tension, but we're bigger than that. The truth of who we are, this is the Advaita teachings, is that the truth has never left you. It's here right now. There's no distance between you and that Jupiter energy of the truth. It's a universal fountain. It's the birther of everything. So that truth of who you are has given birth to reality. In truth, you are that energy that all creation arises out of. When we go into that absolute space, the Nirguna Brahman of the Eastern teachings, we join with the absolute, and then we birth into form the Saguna Brahman, what is beautiful and what is unified and what captures the essence of divine love. And so that being said, oh, nice to see you from Brazil. It was so nice to see you today. Namaste. How does Jupiter and Capricorn affect Virgos? Oh, I don't know. But I mean, I could tell you how. Well, it's an earth sign, so it's going to trine with Virgo energy, really, I know because I'm a Taurus and I have lots of Virgo as well. The signs are going to be really, really lit up and in harmonious flow with Jupiter and Capricorn, because Virgo and Capricorn, of course, are earth signs. The cardinal signs are going to be really charged. They're going to be in that cross with all the energy. If you're in have planets in cardinal signs, you're going to be really, it's the energy's on in 2020. It's been on for a long time, but it's going to be really big. Look up go to any free site where you can look up your houses and find out which house for you is Capricorn. For me, it's my whole fifth house falls in Capricorn, so it's huge for my fifth house. It starts in Sagittarius, but the whole Capricorn is my fifth house. So find out the house that it falls in from you, and you will get that. And so I'm going to take a moment, just ask you to integrate. And again, it's interesting that some like negativity showed up on the chat today. It's okay. Like, it's okay. It's like, it is what it is. It's allowed to be present on this planet, but it's not the truth. It's not, don't claim that, because it's not the truth of who you are. So we're just going to ask for a blessing as this energy enters today, really calling in a blessing. Jupiter, just great. And remember, this is archetypal energy. We're not trying to read the future. We're not into, calling in any like dark forces or light forces. This is about looking at the energy that's available to us in the universal mind on this dimension. What is blipping in the cosmic screen and asking for attention? What can assist in opening our hearts right now? Oh, nice to see you from France. Yeah. Yes. And the sixth house is your work. It's your daily energy. So that's going to be big for your daily energy. That being said, 2 quick announcements. I will come back and post the link for the archetypal energy. I'm going to do archetypes of 2020. It's going to happen in December, and I didn't put the link up yet. We'll come back and post that in the description box. And also, I want to say a quick reminder that quick reminder that I'm doing another group mentoring in January as we enter 2020, starting an 8-week mentoring group. I'm finishing up the fall version. I just did it for the first time. I'm doing it a second time because it was so beautiful. It's an 8-week mentoring starting in January. And it's the last time that I'm going to do it live, because I'm moving on to something else in the spring and changing my whole platform and format. So this is going to be the last time that I'm with you one-on-one. If you want to do that, just text me or I will, or message me, and I'm going to put a link to it in the description box. But that being said, I just want to wish everyone really powerful energy. We'll be back to talk about the solstice, the Capricorn solstice. We'll be back to talk about the eclipse coming up. We'll be back to talk about the Gemini full moon coming up. And that being said, oh, thank you. Thank you. That being said, I'm going to close out for today with namaste, blessings and light for everyone in this entire planet. We're all connected, and it's time for us to wake up and know that. And so namaste.